and we're going to do what we do here in Chicago, here at the Reality Check. So I'll bring Megan on here in a second. Let's see, I need to go live. There we go. We'll see her out there in a minute. She'll call back. Hey, but we're going to bring on a little Gil Scott Heron, get us in the
Uno,
mood.
dos,
Uno,
uno,
dos,
dos,
tres,
tres,
cuatro.
cuatro.
Mm, 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 mm.
You see that black boy over there running
Yep.
scared. His old man in a
Yeah, we
bottle.
are. We're in the bottle. That's for sure.
He done quit his 9 to 5. He drink full time and now he's living in a bottle.
You know, what is going on with
See
this
that black boy
noise?
over there
Let's see,
running
we'll turn that down
scared.
a little
His
bit.
old man got a problem, and it's a bad one. He ain't done fond of
Oh, we have.
coming away
Okay,
from
look,
a bottle.
let's go ahead and kick this show off. We have a great show today. We got Megan. Megan calling in whenever the talks. Let's see here. We're gonna bring Megan on right now. Hello, Megan. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. 1 second, Charles. I'm sorry I had you on speaker. Can you hear
Says
me
whenever.
okay?
Yeah, I
There
can.
you
I
go.
can. Someone is calling us whenever the host is talking. Someone else is calling us from Las Vegas, and I got the two confused. But welcome to the reading an article that you'd written on ReaganBabe.com that was talking about the Me Too issue. Can you share that with our audience a little bit, please?
Actually, that's not my article. That is one of my contributors' articles. Her name is Katie Grimes.
Okay, Katie Grimes.
But yeah, Katie Grimes. She's an investigative reporter out of Sacramento, California. She and I do a lot of pieces there. However, every once in a while, she tackles the issues as she sees them. And
Hmm.
this issue is the Me Too movement and how it's kind of becoming more of a um, not only a what's intended to be is more of a movement to protect women from sexual harassment and harassers in the workplace,
Right,
specifically out of Hollywood and media. But now it has become more of an advocacy group just to replace men in positions,
right,
and this has a detrimental effect. As you know, the feminist movement is really, I believe, a misandrist movement, which is really the hatred of men.
hmm,
And you see this not only in many comedians who bash men every chance they get,
hmm.
but also this toxic masculinity ruse. That basically just generalizes all men basically from birth
Right,
because of their masculinity.
right.
That's a very dangerous, I think, charge to
And,
level,
and why do you think that's
whereby you're
dangerous?
just well, because you're generalizing a gender. The last thing that women always say is, don't, judge me on my looks, or don't judge me on my weakness in the fact that I'm a woman. Don't judge me because I'm a woman.
Mm-hmm,
I want to be equal to a man. I mean, that
mm-hmm.
was really the whole impetus behind the feminist movement
Right,
originally. It was not only the sexual revolution, it was not only abortion that formed the feminist movement, but it was also equality in the sense that, we deserve our voices to be heard and paid much as men. We can do the job of men. And so I don't understand why now all men are simply toxic masculine, being charged with toxic masculinity when really the roots of feminism were to compete with men.
okay. But and what effect do you see that having on men out here in the workplace?
Well, it can create a very unstable. It can create men who fear even hiring women, for example, because of this backlash against men in general, whereby many men have been falsely accused of sexual harassment,
Megan,
assault, etc. Because
did I?
yes,
I'm losing you. You're going in and out. Is there something I'm doing on my end?
okay,
Hello.
yeah, no, you
Okay,
come
now
clear
you
just
sound
fine
good.
to me.
Yeah, now you sound good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay. I haven't moved. Maybe it was just a connection.
Okay.
Nonetheless, what you find is men that might be more trepidatious to hire women because of some of these false accusations that
Hmm.
are coming forward,
Hmm.
specifically because many women have reduced rape and sexual assault down to mere touching of someone's shoulder.
Right.
So it creates this division between men and women
Hmm.
instead of one that is more of a unifying effort. It really is more of a separation effort.
And a hostile environment, because I know guys who are saying, I
Correct.
am not going to. Well, see, I always had rules when I worked with women. That is, I never met with women in my hotel room, unless, of course, we were going to have
Hmm.
sex. But I never met with women in my hotel room. I thought it was inappropriate. I didn't meet with them in their hotel rooms. We met in public areas, in the business centers. And when I started working, they didn't have business centers, so we would meet in a restaurant or we would meet somewhere in a public area. I just never felt comfortable being in a room with a woman who was a colleague or a professional. I just didn't feel it was very professional, and I've always held to that. And the other thing was in rooms where I had offices where there were no windows, I never met with women behind closed doors, one on one, where in a room with no windows. That was just not one of my things. I don't care if it was a conference room. I didn't never put myself in that position, and I don't think that women should put themselves in that position, in those positions, because they become very compromising positions, and they become he say, she say, and you're an attorney, so you know this stuff. It becomes who said what to and about whom. And I just never have been involved in those situations. And I got accused once of sexual harassment, and it was so bizarre that the women who this woman was telling that she was going to charge me with sexual harassment, they went to HR before she went to HR and told them what she had planned to do to me, which was totally true and totally. In fact, I wasn't even talking to this woman, and you know what it was about, Megan? Smelling my cologne. And she wasn't one of the people who I had asked to smell my cologne. It was a group of four other women who always liked the colognes I wore, and they would because they would go buy them for their husbands, and their husband, I knew their husbands, and we all used to laugh about it and talk about it. Charles, don't get a new cologne because I like the one you have, that kind of thing. So it was anyway. It's too bad that this is going on, because I think a lot of valuable uh, progress that we've made in terms of gender equality, in terms of what a great number of women have to bring to the workplace and to the work environment, is being compromised by these false accusations, and it takes away from the real accusations. Let's be clear here. I mean, it's not like real sexual harassment doesn't go on in the workplace.
Right, and it's not only in the workplace; it's also infected. And by the way, I'm not a lawyer. It's also infected our college campuses.
Oh
For
yeah.
example, the University of Texas. The University of Texas has announced a new program to treat mental health issue.
What?
So not only are we categorized, yes, and so this is how the virulent left, I would call them close to insane, uh, is now abusing really men, specifically on college campuses, to treat masculinity, which is really testosterone driven, hormonally driven, as a mental health issue. I mean, could you
Well,
imagine
you know what I
if,
think is a mental health
for
issue,
example,
more
the trait.
Megan? What I think is a mental health issue is the whole LGBT issue is truly a mental health issue.
Well, and actually, gender dysphoria is the clinical term for a person who is confused or not comfortable in order to create new rights.
Hmm.
That's a slippery slope.
Hmm.
And so, what if the Texas program had something femininity? Is on the opposite end? Is there a toxic femininity? Why are we immune then from the charges that some within this feminist movement asperse onto another gender?
Hmm.
And that's why I said the feminist movement, really the core of it, historically,
Hmm.
has been misandry, the hatred of men.
You think historically it has been? Do you think that Gloria
Yeah, and I
Steinem
and I mentioned that.
do you think that Gloria Steinem hated men? Or, I thought that Gloria was always very fair myself.
Well, I would consider herself one of the leading feminists of the movement. But as
Uh-huh.
the movement grew, the core,
Right.
and what you see now is this. Really, it might have started out as a very small part of the movement, but
Mhm.
this feminist movement, what I would call 2.0, has a much larger core of misandry,
Right.
meaning whereby we're now creating masculinity as toxic and treating it as a mental health issue.
Right.
That really came from somewhere. It
Right.
just didn't come out of the blue.
It is right.
And so I think many that aligned themselves with the feminist movement really didn't like men too much and would put down men in order to advance their own femininity or lack thereof, meaning we can do everything just as good as men can, uh, if not better. And in some respects, I agree with that. But in all respects, I do not. I do think that as there are two genders, yes, there are two genders.
Well, this is the
I
thing that
believe there are vast differences
uh,
between
th-
women and men.
this is the thing that women confuse. Women confuse that just because a male is a man, just because they're dealing with a male, that they're dealing with a man. Nothing could be further from the truth. And that fabrication and that fallacy started with Billie Jean King and Bobby's player. Billie Jean King was the top women's player in the world. She did not play the top men's player. She did not play a ranked and ever ranked men's player, and she played a guy who was basically physically over the hill. And they tried to compare that as the battle of the sexes. No, if she had played Rod Laver, who was the number one men's player of the time, then we could talk about a battle of the sexes. I see too much of that happening. See, men. Let's just uh, I kind of group it like this. There are different levels of football. Say freshman football, JV football, varsity football. And women compete with guys who are in freshman football and think that they're competing against real guys. No, they're not competing against the best. They're competing against guys who, they're just guys. They're not good. They're just, dudes. And there's a big confusion there. And I used to find that I used to think, and I never shared this with you, but I used to play tennis a lot. And it was really interesting how after Billie Jean played Bobby, how women started challenging men. And we stopped playing socially and started playing like we played guys. The thing was, well, I'm going to play you like I play the guys. We're not going to have a social match here. And all of that stuff went away. All of that, we're going to challenge the guy thing. That stuff went away when we started playing like guys, like we play each other.
Right. And, about this program, just really quickly, 'cause it ties in, the program at the University of Texas, which treats masculinity as a mental health issue, they argue that men suffer when they are told to act like a man or when they are encouraged to fulfill traditional gender roles, such as being successful or the breadwinner. You know, and then this comes back to your statement about how men will compete against other men. This is an inherent and common genetic disposition that men share. Why? Because testosterone.
Mm,
And that's a very interesting hormone that creates a variety of different emotions as well as actions and reactions than, say, progesterone, which, I have. So, I, 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 I just couldn't believe when I read this about how masculinity is a mental health issue. Most men like traditional roles.
they do.
It shouldn't be treated as a mental health issue.
Well,
Most women and this traditional nuclear
okay.
family, especially whether it be a family or the
Mm,
white family,
mm,
however, the men were the breadwinner. It
mm.
made them feel good. It made them feel recognized. It made them feel as the provider of the family. And there is nothing wrong with tradition.
No, there
But
isn't.
yet, the left's assault on traditional rules, whether that comes between the relationship of female male or whether it comes between the way the genders interact, is truly under attack. Specifically, it's attacked primarily and or directed towards rather men
Well, Megan, it's interesting that you say
and
that.
white men.
Yeah, and white men, Megan. I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but I say this often, and that is the most discriminated segment or group in America today is the white male. If the sun comes up in the morning and it's too hot, it's the white man's fault because of global warming. Uh, if there's rain in the air, it's the white man's fault. We have demonized white males, whether consciously or unconsciously, because of things that have passed or things that are present that have just totally been blown out of proportion and conflated, and it really makes me angry when I see my friends who happen to be white males who are ostracized and beat up on because they're white. And these are good guys. These are great guys. They're great fathers. They're great friends. They're great Americans. They're great citizens. And they have to put up with this. Oh, I'm a guy, so I'm a white guy, so I must be bad because I'm a white. I mean, really? I mean, do you
Yeah,
do
you
you
can't
see that? Do
help
you
the color
understand?
that you were
Do
born.
you understand what I'm saying? Do
Yeah,
you
no,
see
you
that?
can't
Yeah.
help the color. You cannot help the color that you were born, but more importantly, the reason that this type of division exists is because the Democrats specifically need to collectivize the masses, meaning we need the black people over here, we need
Hmm.
the Mexicans over here, we need
Hmm.
the LGBTQ over here, we need the gays over here, we need the black women over here, we need the Latino women, and they create all of these silos in order to create more division. It's much easier to conquer when you divide than unify.
Okay. When we come back, JD wants to ask you a couple of questions. So we'll be right back here shortly, folks. We're with Megan Barth, ReaganBabe.com.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Concern to every single American. Now, we've been hearing all these stories about sanctuary cities, sanctuary.
Now find us on the Amazon Echo and Echo Dot, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, and we also have the phone apps in the App Store for your particular phone. And just
PC to the TV or smart TV via Wi-Fi. Once you've enjoyed the benefits of VIP TV, you can sign up for the service as a customer or business partner with a customized website, $39 or $59 a month. Visit orderviptv.com/the reality check. That's orderviptv.com/the reality check. Any questions, just email us at therealitycheckviptv@gmail.com. Stop wasting time and money and sign up now. Cancel cable for good.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable My Pillow is with its patented interlocking fill. My Pillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. My Pillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. My Pillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. My Pillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code Red State. That's 1-800-961-9194. Promo nights behind you with My Pillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Okay, welcome back to the Reality Check with Charles Butler here at Red State Talk Radio. We have uh, Megan Barth with us from ReaganBabe.com. We're going to bring on JD. He wants to chime in, ask a question. Hey, JD, how you doing?
I'm doing great, but getting better. Just a coincidence. Hi, Megan.
JD, like from Vegas, JD?
Yeah, hi. Just a coincidence. I called Charles today, and you're on. Just to start off with, don't call me Kimasabi, Paleface, if you remember the Lone Ranger and Tonto.
Yes. Hmm.
Boy, come
I'm
on, JD, let's
73
go.
and a half. I'm 73 and a half years old, and I know, and I've known what my status, what my purpose in life has been, and all of those years, and it hasn't changed. I'm a male. I've been brought up to protect uh, the women in my family, whether it be my kid sisters or my mother and my wife eventually, and my children, and to provide the best I can for them at all times. And that is never going to change as far as I'm concerned. What I have noticed maybe in the last 20 or 30 years, especially what my son was going to high school and college, and in this age of maybe 21, 22 to 35 are different than when we grew up, Charles. I never hugged on football or baseball team. We maybe punched you in the arm, maybe
Hit you on the
we
butt.
shook hands, but we never hugged.
Hit you on the butt.
No, never did that.
Yep.
Uh, no, no, never did that.
Yeah.
But we didn't hug each other. And there has been a feminization of young men in a certain age category. I'm not specific with it. I'm not knowledgeable what it is. Maybe it's up to 35 years old or whatever. And it's trying to make a little pussycats. And part of that, I think, is because of the anti-war movement. We don't want men to be men that will serve the country and fight for the country if need be. And all of these little pieces out there that are trying to change it, they have some effect on it, but I don't think they're going to succeed. What say you both?
Megan, you roll with that.
Well, yeah, well, the millennial generation of that 21 to 35, that is the millennial generation as we witness, and we hear more about male feminists, the rise of male feminists. I'm not really sure what that means, but when you look around and see male feminists, you see most of them being charged with sexual assault, like Attorney General Schneiderman out of New York. He was a very proud male feminist who even wore black eyeliner. It really is a confusion, I think, of roles and gender roles. And because the gender roles have been watered down, specifically when you eliminate a man from a relationship and demonize that man as being too toxically masculine, and relate that to a mental issue, men end up very confused. And I think this confusion really is not very healthy. The confusion is part of a much larger mental health issue. When men don't, when men are shown so many over sexualized images of women, and yet at the same time they say, but you can't touch or look at me that way. Well, you're going against the very nature of a feeling of how a man feels towards a beautiful woman. Wolf whistling, for example, that's now considered harassment. Before it was just kind of normal when you were walking down at next to a construction lot. And so I think that this confusion is done purposefully in order to confuse the gender roles, and even a further step than that, confuse gender. And that is a millennial
Well,
phenomenon, I would say, because I'm not a millennial. I'm a few years past that, obviously. But I too have noticed, just in dating, for example, if I were to date a younger guy, it's nearly like just banging my head against the wall. I want somebody more traditionally based in that they understand uh, that that special relationship of what makes a man, what makes a woman a woman, and how
well,
those
Megan, what
two
is that? What
come
what do you
together
see?
really is the secret sauce.
What do you see that as? Because I date women who are very powerful women, who
Mhm.
make more money than me, who make more money
Mhm.
than most people. Very successful business women and doctors, and
Mhm.
they can afford to pay for dinner just as well as I can afford to pay for dinner, if not more so. And they can sign tickets a lot easier than I could pay for an airline ticket today or a hotel room. Um, so there are some roles that change in terms of economics, just based on, I think, the economic
I don't
opportunities
agree
of
with
women out
that.
here.
I don't agree with that. I think you take economics out necessarily of a relationship. I mean, economics is part of a partnership, and so is money. However, dating is about you woo when you date. And so if you're not wooing, then you're not winning.
Well, I think that I don't agree with that because I know a lot of women out here
That's fine. We
who
can agree to
who are who are
disagree. You know,
who
I mean,
are
I'm successful in my own
who
right.
don't who are really they're very, you try to pick up a bill or pay for drinks, and they're very adamant about the fact that they want to pay their fair share. And I
That's
mean,
fine. Let
they're
them.
they're very, I mean, it's not
But
like,
maybe that's why they're single.
well, no, no,
Maybe that's why
no,
they're single.
no.
I mean, there's a lot of levels, but honestly, there's a lot of levels, and I don't have much more time. I have like 1 minute.
Okay.
There are a lot of levels to dating, and I don't want to get into a dating discussion because we all have our unique ways and our unique outlooks on how that arrangement should be.
Hmm.
You can date whoever you want, more wealthier than you or more poorer than you, but the basis is the relationship between a man and a woman is a very special relationship. And if the woman is not feeling special in that relationship, she's going to go find another nest. Historically, that's how it goes. Okay. The, the,
But yeah, because she can build her own nest, though.
we can't complicate. That's right. That's right.
That's the difference
And if you
today.
can't
She
find
can build her
that's
own
right.
nest today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Maybe your feathers need to be a little shinier if you want to put your
no,
butt in her nest.
no,
You see
no,
what I'm saying?
no,
So always remember that women are like birds. We like shiny objects and
that's,
we like to nest.
I would say that
So that's
about
just
some.
my
I
traditional
would say that
aspect of that.
about some women, and I'd say that about traditional women too. Hey, thanks, Megan. Appreciate you.
Correct.
All right.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Hey, that's an interesting perspective, don't you think, JD?
I don't know. All I know is that
JD, you've dated. Hey,
when
wait a minute, JD. You've dated women that were wealthier than you, and you know how these chicks roll. I mean, it's like, hey, I
they
want to pay
never
my own
let
way.
me pick up a check. They never offered to pick up a check, nor did I let them.
They never offered to pick up a check.
Hello.
They never
And
offered.
I never let them. Maybe once or twice. I don't remember. I would always grab the check before they had a chance.
Yeah, well, JD, you need to up your game, buddy, because I'm telling you, there are women out here who have money. Like, I mean,
Sure,
I've been
sure.
always been around women who had money, and they like to share their money with. If they're not sharing it with you, JD, they're sharing it with someone else. Okay.
Doesn't enter my mind.
It does mine.
Doesn't enter my mind.
You 73. You probably dealing with women who've been left a lot of money. But I'm dealing with women who make money. This is their own money. Okay, this is their own money. This is not money that was left to them by their husband, or that I mean, and it's really interesting that they're insulted. Actually, they're insulted that you would want to not include them in the financial. I mean, they want to go out and have a great time. You go to lunch, you go to dinner, and they like, hey, I want to pay for this. I can afford to pay for this. I'm not a secretary.
I don't know where you find those. I don't know where
Listen,
you find them kind
I
of
do.
women because I never found
I
them.
find them all the time, and they're like, "Look, this is how they roll, JD. Hey, look, I make good money. You're a great company. That's why I want to be with you. I don't expect you to pay for everything. It's not like I'm a secretary. I mean, that's how they talk, and I love it. I mean, it used to be, JD, when I first got in the dating game, chicks who were in the workplace, they were teachers, they were nurses, they were secretaries if they were in the business environment. But that's all changed. You have women who are doctors, who are lawyers, who are judges, who are high-powered business executives, who are carrying American Express corporate and business in their purses. I mean, really? I mean, hey man.
When I was dating women that were divorced and have kids, I'd even give them money for the babysitter.
Exactly. I used to do that, but today, JD, it's a different game out here financially. And see, and all of this started to change in the 70s with women making more money and becoming more independent, and so relationships changed. So when Megan talks about the shiny, what did she say? The shiny implements. Well, somebody has to
The
date the
shiny object, and
yeah.
that's.
Somebody has to
I
date
didn't
the
hear what else he said.
yeah, but somebody has to date
Hey,
these.
the next time you come out here and we go to a cocktail lounge and have a few
taste, I'm going to have a little sign on my shoulder. Will work for drinks and food.
Well, that's not the way the game's played. But these there are women out there. I have a play sister who's a psychiatrist, and she always talks about her friends who are doctors, who are surgeons, who are anesthesiologists, and they're making $300,000 a year, and they can't find a decent guy to go out with. I mean, really. So hey, you can offer.
So when they find one, they want to keep them around, so they pick up a tab here or there.
Well, no, it's not even like that. I don't know how to explain it, but um, I'm like this. What Megan made me think about is I'm not going to date poor women. Okay.
Well, I had a policy. I never dated dumb women.
Hey,
I could never do anything with dumb women.
No, JD, I was dating this woman who she had a great job. She was making six figures, and we dated for 8 months. Not one time did she ever reach to pick up a check. Not one time. And you know what I did, JD? I got rid of her. And you know what? I never called her again, ever, because she's selfish. She's making great money. Why should I spend my money? When you go out, she'd go out and have dinner with her girlfriends, and she'd travel, and this is the other thing. She could get in her car and she could go 10 miles to go to church, and she could go 10 miles to go to a theater for dinner or in a play, but she couldn't come 3 miles to see me. She wanted me to come pick her up and bring her back to my place. Hey, I don't have time for that. Life is too short. And you guess what? Times have changed. I don't believe in that traditional BS because it's advantageous to the woman. Listen, JD, it's advantageous to the woman. I believe in equality. I'm an ERA kind of guy. Anyway, hey, look.
Well, I'll admit, and I don't know if you will. In all my 73 years, I still can't figure them out.
Yeah.
Hello.
But that's the fun. That's the fun of it all, JD. Hey, look.
Well, yeah, that's the fun, trying to figure them out.
Hey, look, yeah, there are a couple of things I need to cover here before I get too far off base. And
put me on hold.
And one of them is I'll just moot you out here because you like to make a lot of noise in the background. I'm gonna moot you out.
Oh, shut
up. See, that's why I have to moot you out.
Yeah, mute.
Mute. M-U-T-E, mute. Anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about Jesse Jackson. Hey,
breadbasket.
Hey, hold on, JD. We're gonna talk. Hey, JD, let me ask you a question because I don't know this. Can you hear me when I have you on mute? Can you actually hear the show?
You now.
No, could you hear the show when I had you on mute?
I hear you.
No, I don't have you on mute.
I've heard you throughout, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, that's what the question is. Okay, so anyway, Jesse Jackson has this nationally syndicated column. JD, I'm trying to get through a segment here. Be quiet. So, anyway, Jesse has this nationally syndicated column, and I was reading it today. Usually comes out on Saturday, but I'm reading it today, and it says African American unemployment has reached the lowest levels ever. President Trump boasts about this on the stump, naturally claiming credit for a recovery that began after his predecessor Barack Obama saved an economy that was in full free fall. Total lie. Trump says He was delivering on his promises, on his promised New Deal for blacks. Um, don't fall for the hype, says Jesse. A low top line unemployment rate is a good thing. Open quote. Top labor markets forced employers to compete for workers, more African Americans, whom are too often the last hired, find jobs. Those who have lousy jobs are more confident about looking for better ones. Even harsh employers like Walmart find it necessary to lift wages to attract and keep decent workers. Wages start should start going up. But we haven't seen, where's the close quote? I guess it's still open quote here. Okay. Yeah, it's still open quote. We haven't seen much of that in this economy. That's because while the top line rate is down, it doesn't count millions who've given up looking for work or dropped out of the workforce. Only if the economy continues to grow and unemployment continues to decline are we likely to see wages starting to improve. Here's a guy who's never worked a damn day in his life. Okay. Jesse Jackson never worked a day in his Jesse Jackson Sr., I'm sorry, never worked a day in his life. At least Jesse Jackson Jr. was a congressman. This guy he's lying about Barack Obama. Barack Obama didn't start the turnaround. That's the lie that everybody tells. He's a blatant a liar. And this is the term that I'm using for Reverend Jackson, because it's a term that's really just thrown around by pundits, by Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a liar. President Trump is a. I've never heard a president denigrated and disrespected the way that Donald Trump is. And if you have, please call me and tell me that I'm wrong. By the way, that call-in number is 215-867-8255. The big problem Jesse Jackson goes on to say is that more jobs are simply lousy. Most jobs are simply, that was Barack Obama's economy, you moron. Barack Obama had all of these service jobs that were being created, these part-time jobs that were being created. Why don't you ever tell the truth, Jesse? You and the rest of you of the race pimps out there. Virtually all the new jobs aren't secure. They're part-time, short-term contract jobs with variable hours, few benefits, and low wages. And that's I'm sorry, Jess. You're about a year and a half late. That was Barack Obama's economy, dude. We go on to say that most Americans, African Americans, like most Americans, like African Americans, find the jobs that what we need are rising faster than the wages are. That's always. Paychecks will be catching up, though, I think. And Jesse goes on to say, paychecks don't buy what their paychecks used to buy. Healthcare costs are exploding. Yeah, because Barack Obama blew up the healthcare system, you moron. College debt is now higher than credit card debt and auto debt. Housing costs are at or near record highs, and are for those who want to buy a home and those who want to rent. I tell you, this guy is got to be, he's got to be either on drugs or he's a communist plant. You take your pick. Reverend Jackson goes on to say, yeah, Reverend Jackson goes on to say there is less poverty now than there was 50 years ago. African Americans, horrible term. Black Americans is what I say, have started to close the educational gap in graduating from high school, getting a college or advanced degree. Yet in 1968, the median Black income was only 63% of the median income of a white household. And in 2016, the wage gap was worse, with blacks earning 61% of what a typical white household earned. That's because of you, Jesse. That's because of you and the ghettoization of Black culture, the ghettoization of Black people. Nobody wants to work with poor and ignorant people, Jesse, regardless of what you say. Everybody who's here is not somebody just because they're here. People need to have morals. They need to have ethics. They need to have commitment. They need to have character. All the things that you denigrate, all the things that you preach against, that people should just go out and act any way they want because they're here and there's somebody. Wrong. Wrong. Those somebodies need to be somebody of character, of conscience, of Americanness. And you're against all of those things. And that's why I'm against you, Reverend Jackson. And I've always been against you. And that's why Dr. King was going to take Operation Bed Basket away from you, Reverend Jackson. Yes, I know that because I know people who have been around you, who were part of Operation Bread Basket and left Operation Bread Basket when they found out your true colors. You have no character. And I wish that these white people would stop listening to you, because at the last time I checked, nobody voted for you to speak for black people. And by the way, Dr. King did not anoint you to be his successor, as you claim, because you're not. You're not an eloquent speaker. You're not a intellectual thinker. All you do is rap. In fact, I call Reverend Jackson the original rapper. It was not Curtis Blow. It was Jesse Jackson Sr. What do you think of that, JD?
Well, you covered it better than I could have. I would say one thing: he did have a job. He did learn how to do it. He's a professional while proposing all of his bankrupt ideas. He has no intellectual economist like a Dr. Sobel. He has nothing like a Walter Williams. His only claim to fame was he was on a balcony in Memphis when King got shot. And
up, in fact, Claretta King would not and did not want him at the funeral. Um, I remember when they unveiled the statue of Dr. King, Jesse forced his way on the stage. He had nothing to do with raising the money, with organizing, putting the monument there, forced his way onto the stage, and these black men capitulated and let him steal the limelight. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would have
so
told
he was
he was what?
So he was a Judas for 30 pieces of silver.
Well, yeah, and you look at the other great civil rights leader. He was present when he died. Was um, Whitney Young. Um, um, I was told by someone very close
I don't
to.
recall.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Whitney Young was probably the greatest civil rights leader we had, and people, of course, don't know him because the white media doesn't want you to know him, because he talked about jobs. He said things like, when he met President Johnson and he signed the Civil Rights Act, he said to the president, "What good does it do to have this piece of paper and I can go stay in a hotel when I don't have any money in my pocket? We need jobs, Mr. President. Black men need jobs." That's what this has always been about. That's what it will always be about. We talk about cheap labor. We talk about the mass incarceration of black men in the South for cheap labor, and nobody talks about those
Let me ask you a
injustices.
question. When you're talking about jobs and you growing up in Detroit and your dad working for, I guess, GM or one of the big car companies, was there any discrimination?
Totally.
Black men
Totally.
in hiring in
Totally.
the auto industry?
Definitely discrimination. You had black and
Was
white
there
men.
like a quota, maybe?
No, there was no. I don't remember anything about a quota, but black men who were hired into the plant all went to the foundries, whether it was Ford, Chrysler, or GM. The black men went to what they called a cubulo, and that's where they tried to force you out of working at the plant, because you were in the dirtiest, hottest, most dangerous jobs in the plant, called the cubulo. And we didn't have the we didn't have OSHA, so you didn't have all the safety concerns and the safety protections that we have today. It was a very dangerous place, and I remember my father and his friends talking about people being killed in the plant. I was a little boy. people being killed in the plant, how dangerous it was. And it wasn't until the late 50s and 60s that blacks started even moving out of the foundry and into the assembly line jobs. So, yes, there was a great deal of discrimination in the automotive industry and in trade and in those unions. Walter Reuther was the first union leader to make sure that blacks got an opportunity to get out of the foundry and move into the assembly line jobs. And he demanded that from the automotive workers. That's why Walter Reuther was what? Assassinated.
Don't remember that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm an intellectual, man. This is what I don't do this for a hobby. I've always been a guy who was well, I'm just an intellectual. That's what I do. Walter Reuther was one of the greatest labor leaders we ever had. He was also one of the greatest civil rights leaders we ever had. See, not all civil rights leaders were black, as history books would have you believe. You had George Shultz, who was a great civil rights leader in his own
Reagan.
right. You had, well, I don't think Reagan was such a civil rights leader. I mean, he did some things that
No, under
helped
Reagan.
black people.
Schultz worked for Reagan.
Yeah, he worked for Reagan. He worked for Reagan. He was he was Secretary of State, and he was also secretary. He worked for Nixon too. So Schultz had a long history of public service. I've been trying to get the NAACP or Urban League to recognize this man because he was been a great champion of civil rights and for black advancement. I don't believe in. I was at a meeting yesterday at University of Michigan, and in this meeting, it was a meeting about Martin Luther King scholarship recipients. And some of the members in this meeting, they were talking about how we needed to provide scholarships to students who were not black and this. And I just had to say, wait a damn minute. Latinos, when they talk about Latino issues, they don't talk about including blacks or helping blacks. They show up at the table and say, where's mine? They always have, they always will. These are people who did all of a sudden were white and they found that it was more advantageous to claim that they were Hispanic and Latino and jump on the bandwagon. I don't play that game. I'm not politically correct. So there we go.
I read a couple of months ago there's 12 black students who received Rhodes scholarships.
Well, good. I mean, and I'm sure they deserved them. But at the end of the day, out of I don't know how many scholarships they give out, but I mean, yeah,
Neither do I.
that's great. But at the end of the day, we look at when you look at and compare uh, how many people have the opportunity. A friend of mine wrote a book. His name is uh, Daniel McDermott. And I think I was looking for the book. I have the book around here somewhere. I just can't put my hand on it right now. But the book's called We're Starving. It's written by a guy named Dr. Daniel McDermott, who's a white guy who he and I have been friends for years. He wrote this book and it's out. You can get it on Amazon. It's called We're Starving. And the book is a true story and it's about how he went in the educational system and and took these students on the west side of Chicago and made them chess champions. They went all the way to Washington, D.C. to compete on the national level, and they came in fourth. These are poor kids on the south side of Chicago. And he did this because it was the right thing to do, and he could do it. And he had a teacher who stood behind him. The book is called We're Starving, and I'm trying to come up with it right now. I'm trying to come up with a little bit more information for you because he was on my show last week, McDermott. There we go. And it just ticks me off that I can't put my hand on the book right now.
It's amazing how individuals can accomplish more good in direct relationship to education. For example, Head Start hasn't that been a deplorable program?
Well, I don't know if it's been deplorable. I think it's been bastardized by the government. Remember, Head Start was an outgrowth of a national program that was started by the Black Panther Party, which was feeding children. And that's become a real
Oh, I
boondoggle.
thought it was under the civil rights of Johnson.
I have no, well, I just told you where it started. It was started by the Black Panther permit involved. And anytime you get people on the payroll who don't know the neighborhood, who don't know and look like you, it's not going to work. And that's the problem with a lot of these programs. They have people who are not interested in implementing the program. They don't know the people, they don't know the culture. And, I just want to see what I want to see Trump do eventually. And I think I'm going to send him a letter. And it's going to say, I want to see a Marshall Plan implemented in urban cities. And I want these programs ran by conservative people. I don't want one Democrat.
I have an idea along those lines, and maybe you could incorporate it in your letter. Have these billionaires in this country adopt a city and refurbish it.
Well, remember there was a show on TV like that. Remember, where this guy, he was helping the police department.
No.
He was rich. Yeah, it was a show on TV. I can't
No.
recall the show, but it was a pretty good show. Pretty good show.
I mean, don't you think a billionaire could go into Baltimore and take it over and put in businesses and refurbish the houses and everything else with his people, and it would turn it around and incorporate a policy where the people that work on these projects could eventually take them over for a nominal fee?
Yeah, but I'm looking at a bigger picture than that. I want the kind of dollars to go into this that went into rebuilding Europe and rebuilding
I don't know
Asia.
if we have that kind of money.
Well, of course we have that kind of money. Of course we have that kind of money. Hey, but look, folks,
All
we
right,
got to
you
get
say
going.
so.
And thanks, JD, for calling in. But look, we'll be back Monday doing the same thing, same time. And hope you'll be able to join us. As always, be good. God bless. And Monday, we're going to be talking about the North Korean meeting that Trump put together. So thanks. Take care. Have a great weekend, folks. Happy Mother's Day to you mothers out there. Okay.